Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I am Zian. I am an English department student from Jakarta, and it's been a while since I took my last videos. It's talking about my TFL studies vlog, and since there I never upload new videos because there's a lot happens there, and this is gonna be my next project. Not next project, but this is gonna be my another project. Yeah, in this video I would like to share my mind mapping about language disorder. So this project is I taken from my introduction to psycholinguistic class, so my midterm exams project. So here we go, let's begin. This mind mapping is talking about language disorder, so I'm gonna mention some of the items that including on language disorder. Okay, so I'm gonna talking about the receptive language disorder and the symptoms, and the second one is about I'm gonna talking about the what is called expressive language disorder and the symptoms, and I'm gonna talking about speech disorder, communication disorder, and types of language disorder. So yeah, language disorder or language impairments are disorders that involve the processing of linguistic information. Problems that may be experienced can involve grammar, syntax, or morphology, semantics, it doesn't mean meaning, or other aspect of language. These problems may be receptive or involving impaired language comprehension, expressive involving language production, or a combination of both. Example include a specific language impairment and aphasia, among others. Language disorder can affect both spoken and written language, and can also affect sign language. Typically, all form of language be impaired. Okay, so we are gonna move to receptive language disorder, and receptive language disorder is the understanding of language input. Receptive language means the ability to understand and comprehend language heard or read. A receptive language disorder is an impairment in the comprehension of spoken, written, gestural, or other symbol system. It also affects the social and academic life, understanding the message coming from others. So these are the symptoms of receptive language disorder. There is no standard set of symptoms that indicates receptive language disorder, since it varies from one child to the next. However, symptoms might include on receptive language disorder are not seeming to listen when they are spoken to, appearing to lack interest when storybooks are read to them, inability to understand complicated sentences, inability to follow verbal instructions, parroting words or phrases of things that are said to them, or it's called echolalia, and language skills below the expected level for their age. Okay, and now we are gonna to move to expressive language disorder. Expressive language disorder is a communication disorder in which there are difficulties with spoken or written expression, and expressive language is most simply the output of language. These include not only words but also the grammar rules that indicate how words are combined into phrases, sentences, and paragraphs, as well as the use of gesture and facial expression. Children with an expressive language disorder have problems using language to express what they are thinking or need. These children may have a hard time putting words together into sentences, or their sentences may be simple, short, and the word order may be off. And second is have a difficulty finding the right words when talking, like me. Have a vocabulary that is below the level of other children the same age. leave words out of sentences when talking. And the next is use certain phrases over and over again. And the last is frustration. We are gonna move to speech disorder and communication disorder. And speech disorder or speech impediments are a type of communication disorder where normal speech is disrupted. This can mean stuttering, lips, etc. Someone who is unable to speak due to a speech disorder is considered mute. Okay, if we are talking about communication disorder, and communication disorder is any disorder that affects somebody's ability to communicate. The delays and disorder can range from simple sound substitution to the inability to understand or use one's native language. There are 8 types of language disorder. The first one is sensory impairments. The second one, apraxia, dyslexia, dysgraphia, stuttering, Down syndrome, autism, ADHD. And now we are gonna talking about sensory impairments. And there are 2 types of sensory impairments. That means the blindness and the deafness. The blindness is a link between communication skills and visual impairment with children who are blind is currently being investigated. It impairs one's speech ability. One cannot recognize gesture and facial expressions. A deafness or frequent ear infections, trouble with hearing during language acquisition may lead to spoken language problem. Children who suffer from frequent ear infections might temporarily develop problems pronouncing words correctly. Okay, we are gonna move to apraxia. Apraxia is a general term. It can cause problems in part of the body, such as arms and legs. Apraxia of speech is a motor speech disorder. It is caused by damage to the parts of the brain related to speaking. People with apraxia of speech have trouble sequencing the sounds in syllables and words. The severity depends on the nature of the brain damage. Okay, so here are the symptoms of apraxia. The first one is difficulty imitating speech sounds. Difficulty imitating non-speech movement or oral apraxia, such as sticking out their tongue and groping when trying to produce sounds. In severe cases, an inability to produce sounds at all, inconsistent errors, slow rates of speech, and somewhat preserved ability to produce automatic speech or rote speech, such as a greeting like "How are you?" So here are the next types of language disorder. It is the dyslexia. Dyslexia or developmental reading disorder is characterized by difficulty with learning to read fluently and with accurate comprehension despite normal or above average intelligence. These include difficulty with phonological awareness, phonological decoding, processing speed, orthographic coding, auditory short-term memory, language skills or verbal comprehension, and rapid naming. Dyslexia is the most common learning difficulty and most recognizing reading disorder. And there are some effects of dyslexia. Dyslexia can affect people differently. Some with dyslexia can have trouble with reading and spelling words, while others struggles to write or to tell left from right. And some children show few signs of difficulty with early reading and writing, but later on they may have trouble with complex language skills such as grammar, reading comprehension, and more in-depth writing. And dyslexia can also make it difficult for people to express them clearly. It can be hard for them to use vocabulary and structure of their thoughts during conversation. Okay, the next is dysgraphia, and to be honest, I just knew this dysgraphia. The word dysgraphia comes from Greek word dys, means impaired, and graphic means writing by heart. Sorry, a dysgraphia is a deficiency in the ability to write, primarily in the term of handwriting, but also in terms of coherence. Dysgraphia is a transcription disability, meaning that it is a writing disorder association with impaired handwriting, orthographic coding, and finger sequencing. They may lack basic grammar spellings, for example, having difficulties with the letter P, Q, B, and D, and often will write the wrong spelling while writing their own thought on the paper. Okay, so just having bad handwriting means a person has dysgraphia. Since dysgraphia is a processing disorder, difficulties can change throughout lifetime. However, since writing is a developmental process, children learn the motor skills needed to write while learning the thinking skills needed to communicate on paper. The difficulties can overlap. There are many ways to help a person with dysgraphia achieve success. General strategies fall in three main categories: accommodation, modification, remediation. Okay, we have to move another types of language disorder. The next one is stuttering. The stuttering is a speech disorder in which sounds, syllables, or words are repeated or prolonged, disrupting the normal flow of speech. This speech can may be accompanied by struggling behaviors. Possible causes of persistent stuttering include abnormalities in speech motor control. Some evidence indicates that abnormalities in speech motor control, such as the timing, sensory, and motor coordination, are implicated. Genetic stuttering tends to run in families. It appears that stuttering can result from inherited, genetic. The most people know this is the language disorder is Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a genetic abnormality. This syndrome occurs because of an extra copy of chromosome 21. Yeah, there are three types of Down syndrome. The first one is trisomy 21, mosaicism, and the third is translocation. The next one is autism. I just finished my marathon movie. I watched the Good Doctor series on Netflix, and it's telling about the autism doctor who become the talented. So autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder characterized by impaired social interactions, verbal and non-verbal communication, and by restricted and repetitive behavior. And the last one is ADHD. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is one of the most common childhood disorder and can continue through adolescence and adulthood. Symptoms include difficulty staying focused and paying attention, difficulty controlling behavior, and hyperactivity. So what causes the ADHD? The most likely cause ADHD appears to be genetic. Many children with ADHD have a family history of the disorder or behavior associated with ADHD. Okay guys, so there are some of that I have been mentioned about the language disorder. We are already on the end of my presentation. So see you, bye bye, in another project.